Well, here's another way to look at things. Just this is just a passing thought. We can either compare students with each other, or we can compare students against who they were previously.
Mm.
And when we compare students against each other, we get a we get a big differential there, usually between best and worst. It varies from class to class, but that's what it's like in general. However, when students are compared against themselves, we very often find that the differentials are obviously much smaller because the aim is to make little steps forward and progress. So if you compare the students against themselves, you should see a slow but gradual increase in abilities uh, happening with all the students across all the levels so that they're all, in fact, getting better. So it's it's variable. It changes. You can give the same student the same test twice, and you can get very different results from doing that. So so it's really hard. Um, I think that the only way to understand education is to plot a graph of individuality and individual development over a long period of time. And within that, there has to be uh, a progressive program of study, and there also has to be a teacher or tutors who believe that the student is capable of success. If you have all of those things together, there's a potential benefit there. Um, I don't think looking at any one specific test too much is going to matter because in 5 years' time, no one is going to ever remember this test. No, it's on the bigger scale of life. It's not as important to the students as the fact summer is coming,
Mm.
and we need to get outside and meet people and go places and do things. Um, I think it helps to have a positive outlook on the situation as well. Um, one of the one of the things you said earlier is that you don't understand what is wrong with them, um, and I would personally flip that around and say that first of all, it's a relatively logical question for you to ask in your position. However, we also need to ask at the same time what is right with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there's a wrong side, there's also a right side.
Mm.
And very often, wrong things are based on personality that we can't correct. But right things are based on personality that we can work with. So we have to understand from the student's perspective what are the right things and how can we work with them. It's not so much about what is wrong with the class, it's about what is right with the class, what is working and how to make it work better rather than, if you've got a car engine that's got some good bits and some bad bits, you probably want to take the good bits and do something with them and throw away the bad bits because there's not much use for the bad bits. So that's my analogy of focus, which is to focus on not what is wrong with something, but what is right with it, and build on those elements. Because I think we do that with our lives anyway. We've got a choice each day to focus on what is wrong and what is right. Now, it can be difficult if a lot of things are wrong, but it's also understandable. Young people understand that they get things wrong, that they make mistakes. They understand that work is not good quality. Yeah, they understand that things get broken that are not meant to be broken. Things don't work that are meant to work. They understand that. So they also understand that sometimes um, work that they produce is not going to be great quality. Um, something like uh, there was a big electrical store next to where I used to live, and something like 40% of what was bought from the big electrical store was returned to the electrical store because it didn't work properly or the customers were not satisfied. 40%. Yeah. So you're talking about the results of years and years and years of processing and studying and expertise and product production and designers and engineers and managers and just thousands of people involved in the process of producing a product which doesn't work. So sometimes the results of what we want, sometimes they don't work. And it's the same with, you know, students producing their homework. It's like sometimes you'll get great homework, sometimes you'll get average homework, and sometimes you'll get terrible homework. Now, with the better students, there's higher averages on the grade side, but not every product is a great product. Not every piece of and not every piece of homework is a great piece of homework. And students understand that because in life, not every shot goes into the goals, right? Right. You see football players take shots, and the ball goes out and hits the corner flag, right? It's you couldn't get any further away from the goal, and these people are paid a large amount of money to do this. Um, so we understand that sometimes the results are not quite what we want them to be, but we have to see them for what we are. If it's a failure, it's a failure. That's it. And people just have to get on with life, right? If you failed the last test, well, you failed the last. Doesn't mean you failed the next one. Yeah, and that's why some tests are more important than other tests, right?
Mm.
Here's the example. You can fail every single exam you have in your life, and you can go to a university and you can complete the entrance exam to the university and you can get into the university, right? So um, it's so some exams are more important than other exams. It's true. Some people are more important than other people. Some days are more important than other days. It's one of those things that students just have to learn to come to terms with. And I think it's understandable. It can be explained to them. Some tests are more important than other tests. Remember which tests are important. Look at this. You come to a school. I'm talking to the students now in my head. It's like you come to a school. Some people in the school are more important than other people, right? Yeah, the person at the top is usually the most important person. Yeah. Um, so it's the same with tests. Some tests are more important than other tests. It's necessary to focus on it. If you focus on only one thing, focus on this test, and you can repair all the damage you did by not focusing on all the other tests. Um, it's it, it's hard. You're in a difficult situation. I think focusing on the positive element is very important. Um, if we can take a little bit of a step back, um, what we're doing is examining some of the I think lesser important aspects because um, you were talking earlier about the confrontation between yourself and the other student who walked out of class crying and creating a scene. Yeah. Now, drama is how we influence reality. Why was this person crying? Well, they wanted to influence reality in a certain way. It was a drama. Didn't need to be a drama. They could just stand up and say something and sit down. They don't have to burst out crying and have all this big drama in theater. So, and if we look at any dramatic situation, as with a lot of events, there's usually escalation. Somebody says something. Somebody says something else. Somebody says something else. And step by step, it escalates. The teacher says something that upsets the student. The student says something that upsets the teacher. The teacher replies to the student. The student snaps. The teacher is frustrated. The student gets angry. The teacher gets angry. Boom. There's an escalating scenario there. And this is important because teachers don't benefit from escalation. Because in the school environment, it's kind of understood that the teachers have to be the adults with the control while the students are the students because they don't know a lot about certain things, certain elements of society, certain ways how to behave. So it can be expected that the students lose control because we don't know what's going on in the background. I think I mentioned this before. Like maybe that girl was having a bad day. Maybe she split up with her boyfriend. Maybe she didn't sleep well the night before. Maybe her parents are arguing. Maybe she didn't get what she wanted for her birthday. Maybe her favorite singer died.
Mm.
Yeah, which is why she needs extra care and extra attention. Which is why she needs more empathy than the other students because she's suffering more. She's throwing punches to hurt you, and when she sees that you get hurt, it's like a win for her. She pushes your buttons, right? So it's necessary to take a step back from those kinds of situations where, um, okay, you let's role play. You be her, and I will try to respond as I think a teacher should respond. Okay, so you can if you be her now, and you can put more emotion and I don't know more anxiety, more aggression, whatever she expressed into it, and we can see how I might respond in that situation. Okay, so what did she say?